I don't think our role is to define or even tell other people what they should or they should not be doing. The reason I'm in education, the reason we started Teach For Nepal is we feel that there is no real choice. There are structural challenges, there's mindset issues, there are resource constraints, there are so many challenges, and I think our effort is just to work with people and the communities to remove these barriers so all of us, regardless of our context, can live a more meaningful and purposeful and fulfilling life. As a change agent, as a change maker, we have our own ideas and perception and our own vision of what the community or society should look like, but that vision may not always in alignment with the people that we want to serve. Each individual has their own ideas about what is right, what is wrong, the purpose and meaning of life. It's very, very important for us to work with other people to understand other perspectives. What I've learned is that when you work with local people to create shared understanding of the type of change that you want to see in the community, to find a common ground where our own ideas and the ideas of community can come together to create a shared vision, then that allows you to become more effective in actually implementing the kind of vision you have. Even though in the process it may take a little longer, the vision then becomes the vision of the community that you're serving. And when people take the ownership, then you sometimes don't even need to be there. And that's really sustainable. And that I've seen happen in different communities that I've worked with. Without understanding historical context of marginalization, there's always a risk of going into a community and judging them from a present context, and which I think could be really, really dangerous to the kind of work that we are trying to carry out. And unless we know the region, then we can't even start to begin solving the problem. I think if you understand some of these contexts of historical marginalization, one, you start appreciating the challenges that the type of people we are serving have gone through, the people who have gone through, and that helps us build trust, mutual respect to each other. And because if you come in, start judging, then you never build the trust, never build a respect for that culture or community. And if you don't have respect for that culture, that community, people there, how are you going to drive change in that context? For me, it's very important that I be able to build the trust and very strong relationship with people in this community so that I can work with them for the kind of social change we desire. As I get into the community, I know that I would be seen differently. I don't often speak their languages. I sometimes don't know about their culture. So first, trying to learn about the kind of community I'm going to. Second, even the way we speak, the things we say, ideas we express may also create these gaps. So our approach is try to go into this community and first break these barriers by learning as much as we can. Try to be part of community, like instead of just coming in as an outsider observer, but be in a role of an insider. Live with the family, share meals, have dialogues and discussions so that we can start to make more human connections first. I've seen this happen over and over again, is once you build that human connection, the trust with people, then only then they feel comfortable sharing the kind of challenges, the kind of issues, and also hopes that they have for themselves, their community with us. And only through that is, I think, we can lead towards sort of kind of change we hope to achieve. Self-awareness is really, really critical. We bring in our own biases, right? And those are developed over time because of our family environment, because of our education, because of what we've read or heard. Sometimes that can be so limiting of perspective, especially when you go into a different community than your own. In institute, our fellows go through self-awareness, mindfulness exercises all the time. Part of that is doing meditation. but part of that is also asking some really difficult and challenging questions about their own mindset, the way you think, your privileges. First, when you understand yourself, then you can go out and listen to others. To really create an alignment of your vision with other people, you need to have the capacity to listen, to actually hear other people's perspective. We feel that it's really important to understand where the community is, what community is thinking. People in the community are thinking about the education, what kind of education they think is important for the future of the children, but also for the future of community. For last few days now, our fellows been in a community, one of the communities that we actually work in. They're in a homestay situation. The first day they came in, they met children, they were paired up with a child. They talked to a child about the challenges they faced. They talked about what they want for themselves. They went and had a conversation with family members. I think that this allows fellows to look the community from the context, the eye of a child, the eye of a parent, and ask and confront some of these very difficult questions that sometimes we may not even have thought of. And then through the reflection of that conversation, they created a most likely outcome if there's no intervention is made here.
Can you put your hand up if you have a clear idea in your mind of the predictable future of your child? Right, what's likely to happen to them? Think about their future, their predictable future. Who is not okay with that?
So sometimes we go to teach, we go to a community, and we may be doing a job, like just walking into a classroom. I have 150 kids to teach, so I make a lesson plan, deliver a lesson, and then the danger is that it can just become that. But if our fellows are truly able to comprehend what is the future reality for kids, then this fellowship becomes so meaningful and purposeful. And not only for 2 years, I think that also would help us develop long-term commitment to the mission, because we can't solve all the challenges of education in 2 years. Then from that reflection, fellows moved on to create a new vision for the children. And they've created that. They've outlined from their own perspective. And now today they will be visiting children and family and sharing this new vision that they've set for their kids, and then try to solicit their feedback from the parents and the children. So as an outsider, I can bring certain exposure, certain expertise, but ultimately the ownership of this vision has to be with the people we are serving. I don't expect our fellows to go to the family and say, this is the vision, this is the right thing for your child to pursue. What we are saying is, here is an option, asking, suggesting, coming back, reflecting, and then I think after that it's just a process. And then through continuous discussions, dialogues, and modifications, ultimately through those engagement is, I think we can build sort of common understanding about vision. Sometimes there may be a lot of pushback, sometimes you may not get any comments at all, but especially in Nepal, because parents are so uneducated or sometimes illiterate that they don't even feel empowered enough to make a commentary on some of these things. So engaging them into dialogue, so again bringing this alternative suggestions. I mean, because parental perspective might be that I, as a person who is so poor, I have no resources, I can't send my child to college, how can I have my child dream so big? What would happen if that vision is not realized? There may be so many questions, so they could be afraid of all these questions, so they don't feel, they may not be making any comments. People here in these communities have heard from political leaders, other people, that things going to change dramatically for them, but then their experience has told them that it's not. Right. It hasn't changed. So just by going and having a conversation or saying that things are going to change for children, nobody's going to believe that. There's no proof for that. And by setting small goals, you can start to build that proof points. And only through these achievable, small but achievable goals, I think that you can actually prove to parents that your child can be on a different path or a path of progression. And one of the ways we bring in idea of sense of possibility through a small work called Shramadana. So basically where we take our fellows to a community and we participate in some kind of physical labor to complete a project. It's not a huge project in nature, but I was giving an example. Our fellows yesterday worked with villagers and school teachers and others to create a small pathway that is connecting two school buildings in two different sort of hills. One of the schools which was built and completed 2 years back has not been used, and just by connecting these through our own physical labor, just working for 4 or 5 hours, we constructed a small trail that instead of taking 15-20 minutes through a main road to come to two schools, now teachers can walk in less than 2 minutes. When our fellows have the opportunity to actually participate in this kind of work, they actually see the possibility that small change can also create big differences in the life of children and community that we are working in. Some of these ideas of sense of urgency, sense of possibility, sometimes I feel like it's not just enough to talk about them, that people need to feel and see visually that what it could look like. And actually even I saw because of this activity yesterday that a fellow was so despair in the morning about her role, whether she would be able to make any change. In the evening she came to reflection and said, I now see the point of what we're trying to do. Just in a day I see that sense of possibility changing dramatically. And I think my advice to other friends would be also to see a way of where we can demonstrate sense of possibility, where people can see that through small actions there can be changes, and then put fellows through reflection of their own actions and how they as an individual can create these changes. I don't think it's possible to come to an agreement or create a vision, a contextual vision that all the stakeholders can agree on in one go or one attempt. To actually come to a common understanding, this has to be a process. But again, this is part of the institute that we're doing. But idea is that we're just giving enough tools and exposure for our fellows so that they can continue this process for next 2 years when they're placed in their own particular communities where they'll be teaching. A vision that if you truly believe in gives this energy to continue to do this work. If people truly believe in an idea or a vision, that drives their action and behavior. When that happens, then it just works almost it becomes automated, it becomes habit in that context. If it operated based on that common idea or shared purpose, I don't think we even need to exist. And that I think is the most powerful for me, that idea that we would not even have to exist if everybody owned that vision.